This is Hub Radio, and you're speaking with Ron Lutters, and we have Liz Harris, Randy Pullen, and Ben Wick here. And on the line, we have a man I've known for quite some time, and that's Glen Spencer. Welcome to the show, Glen. Hello, Glen. Neil? We don't have Glen on the phone.
Looks like it's on.
Can you hear us, Glen?
Glen, are you on the phone? Hello?
Pull it off and slide it over here.
Okay. Oops. Now we got a real problem. At any rate, Liz, I didn't know you had green hair.
Oh, yeah.
She does.
Oh, we were talking out. It's my aura.
It's St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Oh, yes, and I happen to be like 99.9% Irish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really.
Can you tell?
Colleen, how do they come? You're Colleen, isn't it?
Colleen.
And what they call the young women there, Colleens or something like that.
I don't know.
They call them young women there, I guess. Just like everybody else. At any rate, we're back here, and we had him on the line, and we've just been disconnected. We're talking about some border issues, and Randy goes back a long way. I don't even want to tell you how far back. The border, I think, when you were a kid, it just had a barbed wire fence, I think, didn't it?
They still do in some areas.
I know, and some of them, they don't have any fence.
Exactly.
And yet we're being told that the border's never been more secure. And one of the interesting things here that most people don't know is that last year we had 9,000 illegals come across the United States border. And this was the whole year of 2020. This year we have over 125,000 that have gotten here already. We lost the cable down below here. Okay, if you see somebody crawling on the floor, it's our director.
So, of that 125,000, are they supposed to be voting?
Seriously, I would think. Hello, Glen.
Anybody there?
Oh, right, we got you. Yay! Anyway, thank you, Neil. Your efforts are beyond gallant, and you're also on the TV. But anyway, Glen, sorry we missed you here. We're sitting here. We've got Liz Harris, Ben Wick, and Randy Pullen, formerly chairman of the Republican Party. Liz is doing the yeoman's job of dealing with some of the issues of the election. And
Boy.
Yeah, we got quite a panel here, and we wanted to.
I'm impressed. I'm in a pretty high level group here. I'm glad to.
Well, we're glad to have you. Glen is the founder and chairman of the American Border Patrol. Glen, tell us how that's different from the U.S. Border Patrol.
Well, American Border Patrol is an outgrowth of a group I had in California called American Patrol. I had for 10 years. And I came out to Arizona almost 19 years ago to help solve the border problem, and the logical choice of names was not the American Patrol, but the American Border Patrol. So we started a 501c3 back in 2002 rather. We've been down here on the border ever since.
Yes, I've met Glen probably 10 or 11 years ago. I almost think, Randy, you were the chairman of the party when I first met Glen, and he's done a yeoman's job down there. It was amazing when I went down there. I'd never really seen the border in the latter days when it became a problem. And I was shocked at so many of the areas. All you had to do is pull up a car right next to the border and just stand on the roof and hop the fence. That was that easy. Mr. O'Connor, do you have a picture of Glen that you could throw up on the screen?
Let me look.
I sent one to you, and he's a good-looking guy, and he's got his binoculars in this picture. And he has dedicated much of his life, Liz, to border security. And over the years, he has developed some processes. I guess your background was you're a mining engineer, and you did a lot with seismographing.
Well, actually, my background is systems engineering, mathematical modeling, and then I got involved and started up and ran a seismic oil exploration company in Montana many years ago. And that gave me the knowledge I eventually applied right here on the border to use that technology for a border security system.
And I helped him develop this, didn't I, Glenn? Because I was the dummy when he put the seismic things in the ground. He'd send me out half a mile out and said, "Start walking so we can see when the seismic equipment would pick up your thundering."
We called you Thunderfoot.
Exactly.
Well, Randy Pullen here has been the chairman of the party, and he goes
yeah,
back
I'm familiar with that.
He goes back a long way. You were down there on the border years ago.
Absolutely. We did the initiative in 2004, and I was down there before then and after then, and working the border. And we had I'm sure you remember, Glenn, the Minutemen that were on the border, and I was helping them. And that's when I first met our Senator Sinema. And she was down there, and she wasn't in elected office yet, but she was down on the border directing the illegals how to get around us so they wouldn't get spotted and turned over to the Border Patrol.
And now she's a U.S. senator.
Now she's a senator.
Unbelievable. Well, Glenn, you've developed this process, but before we do that, Glenn is also a pilot, and he has. You've done a little bit of flying along the border, haven't you?
quite a bit.
And tell us about that.
Well, I've been flying for years, and
There, we
when I
got
got
you up
down
on
here-
the screen now, so that's good.
all right. When I got down here, I realized that we really needed a view from the air. We started out with drones, and then I said, boy, I've had airplanes in the past, and I said, I need one, so I found a way to buy a six-place turbocharged Cessna. And about that time, they came up with the Secure Fence Act of 2006. And based on my experience with promises from the government, I didn't believe they were going to do it, okay? So I organized a project called Operation Beef, Border Enforcement Evaluation First. And what I did was I took my airplane, a couple of guys in the back, one on video, one on still camera, and we began flying the border from Fairbanks, Texas to San Diego once a month, and mapped in video, still, etc., the progress of the border. And we actually, you could go to AmericanBorderPatrol.com, look over to the left, and you'll see a map over there. It was finished 11 years ago, but you'll see the detail that we did of the entire border, actually from Brownsville to San Diego. But I'll tell you something. I said they're not going to do this. Okay. Now I'll tell you an interesting story. Back in 2007, they were getting ready to push for the amnesty bill in the Senate. Right. Now, they had a lot. It was coming to a vote in the Senate, and on June 26, 2007, Chertoff, was DHS secretary, went on MSNBC and was asked, "How many miles have you built?" And he said, "We're on course to building 150 miles of fence by the end of September, 2 months from then." Okay. Well, the next day on Lou Dobbs Tonight, some people questioned that. Congressman Duncan Hunter's office said they've done less than 13 miles and none of it is double layered. Okay? Now, the amazing thing, the next day, Elizabeth Dole went before the Senate of the United States, and she said she was very upset. And she said that they haven't finished it. Said not only have they not finished the fence, they've only done 2 miles of it. Okay. Now, No, what I want to listen to this.
Well, Chuck Grassley made a very clear and strong point that he was wrong in the 86 vote, that this did not provide for security at the border, and we were promised again today. 2006, the Secure Fence Act, 700 miles of fencing to be built. Only 2 miles have been built. And so my strong view is it's not promises, it's proofs that people want. The American people want to see results. Control of our borders, and we need to establish standards or metrics and then show that they've been achieved.
Now, you know where she got that 2 miles of border?
No.
Me.
Okay.
Operation Beef had recently, just about 3 weeks before, published a detailed report on the status of the fence, and we showed only 2 miles of double-layer fence had been built. There is absolutely, it's irrefutable. That was the source of that speech that essentially ended the amnesty. That stopped it. Now, not many people know about this, but Elizabeth knew about our work because the media never reported on this incredible job. These 2 guys, Mike King and Mike Christie, in the back of the airplane did all the work. I just steered it, but they did a fabulous job. We never got any coverage for this incredible job, but we didn't need it, because Elizabeth Dole found out, and she felt confident enough in those results to go before the floor of the Senate and make that claim.
Wow. Tell you what, let's fast forward now. You're on the border down around Naco, okay? The fence that's immediately behind your facility is a pretty nice fence. I've been down there. When that fence ends on either side, on the one side it ends and there's no fence going up the mountainside. And then on the other end, it goes down to like a split rail fence. Now, we know that the border is being inundated. How is it down there? I know we talked yesterday a little bit about John Ladd, rancher there. How is it down there in that Naco area in terms of...
Let me bring you quickly up to date. No, Trump changed all of that. There is now a 30-foot fence wall that where the old 18-foot fence ended, where those railroad rails were.
Yes.
Those are all gone. There's
wow.
a 30-foot fence that goes right across the river, and then continues on for 10 miles of John Ladd's ranch.
Wow. I didn't know
and
that.
On the other side, there's a fence that goes up the side of the mountain. That start at the end of that one. That goes up the side of the mountain.
The west, the one on the west side?
Yeah, the one on the west side.
Oh, that's great. What are you seeing down there on the border? Are they being overrun? They don't have to sneak in right now, I don't believe. The new administration just letting them in, aren't they?
Well, it's very strange. I patrol the border with my dog, Lucas Skywalker, every day. We get up in the morning at dawn and drive the roads around the river, okay? And I have my camera with me. And oftentimes we'll post on my Facebook page pictures of the Border Patrol in action. Ever since the election, and there's been essentially nothing. Now, I believe there's a valve, somebody who turns the valve off and on and off, and they've turned it off because they were crawling over. This is an 18-foot bollard fence due south of me that goes for 5 miles. They cross that quite easily. I get drone video of them all. We're getting drone video of them coming over that fence. They don't do it right now for the last 3 months. We haven't seen any action.
Now, you've developed a system here that I thought last time I was down there was about 2 years ago, and you've built a drone system along with sensors in the ground. Tell us about that. And we have Liz Harris here, and she's kind of interested in how many of the folks that get across the border actually voted in our past elections.
Well, on that last point, I think it was Breitbart just reported that the last 3 months of the fiscal year we had like 160,000, or maybe not that, 160,000 gotaways. In other words, people were getting past the Border Patrol. Okay, well, we knew this. that's why I started back 19 years ago to develop the technology to count everybody crossing the border so we could have a border metric. My background is in systems engineering. If you don't have a bottom line, you can't do anything. Okay. So right now, we don't know how many gotaways there are. Now, if you look at this website that I created called bordermetrics.com, you go through that. It's very educational, and you find out the missing link in the border, on the border, are these ground sensors. There are more than 13,000 of them. Okay, and according to an Inspector General's report, they are essentially useless. There was one report where they had like 27,000 alarms that they studied. Less than 1% led to an apprehension. Less than 1%.
Geez.
And 90% of what they knew there was, 90% of what they got an alarm and tried out what it was something other than people. It was animals, everything else but, as they said in the IG report, other than illegal aliens. So I realized this years ago. This report is 15 years old, and they haven't improved them. Okay, so I've been working on this, and I had the idea of this is 10, 11 years ago, of applying seismic technology to the border. Because I ran a seismic company up on the northern border, and so I put some money in, installed it on the ranch right on the border, and it just shocked us. We had no idea it would do what it turned out. We thought it was a good idea. We didn't know how good. Okay, we were surprised. Border Patrol sensors are good at most 40 feet. We were picking up a single person walking at 600 feet. 600 feet. And this is something you can install on the entire border. In other words, it's buried. They bury these sensors in oil exploration, okay? And they're battery operated. You just recharge the battery with solar power. The whole thing is buried. And we started working on this. We actually made a presentation to members of the Arizona State Legislature back in December of 2010. That's actually on YouTube. Well, we presented this to a bunch of members, and it was an early stage, and we worked on it for 3 years. I brought in PhDs, and we worked on this thing like mad for 3 years, and it eventually became what we call sidearm. And sidearm can detect people and identify them, vehicles, low-flying aircraft, and drones. All right. Now, it can not only do that, it knows which side of the border they are on, and roughly where on the south of the border they are. And with this information, and remember, we can pick them up one single person walking regularly at 500 feet.
I know
So
that
we
was part of the
designed-
test. That was part of the test you had me on. You had
That's
sent
right,
me way out
500
there.
That's right, way out there.
Way out in the desert, and I had to come strolling back in.
That's right. Thunderfoot's coming. So here we go. So, and then Northrop Grumman got involved about 6 years ago. They sent some guys out to the ranch and looked at it, and these guys went back to Huntsville and entered into a contest that Northrop was having to find grassroots, and it won the contest, and one of the winners of the contest. So Northrop studied this. Unfortunately, the guy who came out was sent over to Bagram Air Base for a year. So when he got back, they were excited about this, and they put no money up, but they worked with me, and I was actually exchanging emails with this guy, the systems engineer, when we came up with the word sidearm. So they love it. They still do. We're close, but then I decided. Well, I've been working with drones for years. Okay, the fixed wings to begin with. So we said, let's see if we can launch some of these new advanced drones on the alarm. So they had it set off an alarm, okay, and then fly out and intercept whatever it is that caused it. And it worked beautifully. On automatic, in fact, I set it up where I had two drones going in opposite directions, automatically launching at the same time in opposite directions. You go out and automatically detect whatever it was that set it off. Now, what does all this mean? Okay, what good does that do? You see the picture of the people. What good does it do? Well, a number of good things. It's better to know what's going on than not know what's going on. We designed this system so you can have live, high definition. I guarantee this: high definition video of anybody trying to cross the border within 2 minutes, anywhere on the border. I guarantee it. It wouldn't take that much money. And you go on this site, you see Northrop Grumman's endorsement here in their logo, and actually a paper they sent to DHS a couple of years ago. They said this thing works. But what happened was they actually came out to my ranch, a couple of PhD engineers, and installed a new sensor that can detect drones. And they came out, and we demonstrated this for an Air Force group in Las Vegas, and it worked. They detect this drone coming across the border, and it fits into the same sidearm system. So you have a screen up there and flashes. Okay, it's an aircraft. Flashes a person. Flashes it's a drone. All together, and they love it.
Glenn, I'm gonna have to cut you short here because we're almost out of time. Now, one thing that I do want to ask, this is a key question. I've known you for a long time. I've watched you develop this process, and I was very, very impressed last time I was there with what you just described. The big question is, why hasn't the government gotten into this? Is it true that they really want to resolve these issues, or is it false that they want to resolve these issues? Because the technologies are there, and it doesn't look like they're buying into it.
I know why they are not using sidearm. And if there was a full investigation, there would be indictments, and people would go to jail. Okay. Now, the one thing on that, they would go to prison for what they've done. Not just to me, but a lot of things on the border. There's a crowd in there that has been subverting our efforts on the border and in border technology for many, many years. I know who they are. I know how they do it. Now, all I ask right now of you, if your audience, the people that are listening here, there's one person, Elizabeth Dole was smart enough. When she saw my report, she jumped on the floor of the Senate and gave him hell. There's one other senator who could do that, has the knowledge, who could do this, and
Glenn, we're almost out of time.
Cruz, all I ask is, would people ask Senator Cruz to look at this website, bordermetrics.com. That's all I ask.
Okay, that's bordermetrics.com. Glenn, we'll have you on again. I'm sorry we're out of time. The clock just keeps going round and round, and we'd like to thank you for being on the show. Liz and Ben and Randy, we thank you for being on the show. Please join us Wednesday. We're going to have Randy Kaufman on the show, and he's a podcaster with a group that you're going to be excited about. It's called The Watchmen, so you're going to get to see that. I'd like to thank Mr. O'Connor, Mr. DeSante, especially Mr. DeSante, for crawling on the floor and connecting us. And we'll see you again on Wednesday night on Fighting Back. Good night.